All right, so question 65. A giant wheel is divided into 5 equal sections labeled 2, 1, 0, 1, and 3. At the double spin, players spin the wheel shown at the right 2 times. The sum of their spin determines whether they win. Explore using this tool. So this says this, but there's no negative. So I think there's supposed to be a -2 and a -1 in this spot. If we open up the tool that you can use while you're at home, yeah, there should be negatives on there. All right. So work with your team to determine probabilities of different outcomes by answering the questions below. All right. So first of all, make a list of the possible sums that you could get. So make sure on this, it says at the double spin, players spin the wheel shown at the right 2 times. The sum of their spins determine whether they win or not. So we're going to spin this wheel twice. So what I've done is I've put it on here just so I have a little more room to make some work. So we're going to have 2 spins. And we want to list all the possible, make a list of the possible sums that you could get. All right, so let's see here. Try to organize this a little bit. So remember, we're going to spin the wheel once. So why don't we do this? Let's imagine we spin the wheel and we get a -2 on my first spin. So this will be my first spin. And then over here, this can be my second spin. All right, so let's see. So if I get a -2, I could also get on my second spin a -2. If I get, let's do this. Let's do all the -2. So if I get a -2 on my first spin, I can get a +1. So we'll go around this way. If I get a -2, I get a 0 on my second spin. I could get a -2 and then a -1. And I could get a -2, and then I could get a +3. So I think that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5 different things that could happen. All right. So let's say on our first spin that we get a 1 this time. All right. Second spin could get a 1. I could spin a 1. Second spin's a 0. I get a 1. My second spin is a -1. If I get a 1, my next spin could be a 3. And if I get a 1, my next spin could be a -2. All right. So now let's pretend like we spin the first spin and we get a 0. So let's see. My first spin is a 0. And let's say my second spin is a 0. First spin's a 0. Then we'll get a -1. I can spin a 0 and then a 3, a 0 and a -2. And I can spin a 0 and get a 1. All right, let's do -1s now. First spin's -1, and second spin could be a -1. First spin's -1, and then a 3, a -1, and then a -2, a -1, and then a 1, and my last one is a -1, and I could get a 0. And my last option, I could spin and get a 3 the first time, and get a 3 the second time. I get a 3 and then a -2. I could get a 3 and a 1. I could get a 3 and a 0. And I could get a 3 and a -1. All right. Now remember what they wanted to, let's go back real quick, make sure we're answering what we're supposed to. Make a list of the possible sums that you could get. I guess I didn't have to list all those, but that's okay. Let's see, the possible sums. Whoops, go back to my other page. So the possible sums that I could get. Well, let's see. I could get a -4 here. I could get a -1 for this. I could get a -2 for this. A -3 for this. A +1 for this. A +2. I could get a +1 again. I could get a 0. I could get a +4. I could get a -1, which we already have up here. Let's see, I could get a 0 again. I could get a -1. I could get a this would be a +3. Here I could get a -2. Here it would be a +1, a -2, a +2, a -3. I could get a 0. I could get a -1. Let's see here. Oh, this is new. I can get a 6. I could get a +1. I could get a 4. A 3. That's a 3. And I could get a +2. All right, hopefully my math's right. So we need a list of all the possible outcomes that we get. Well, let's see what I could get. I'm going to start with the smallest number. So I think my smallest number is a -3 maybe? Nope, -4. All right, so I could get a -4. Then I could get a -3. I could also get a -2. I see a -1. I could get a 0. I can get a +1, a +2. Can I get a +3? Yep, I can get a +3, a +4. Can I get a 5? Do I not see a 5 anywhere? No, I don't think there's any way to get a 5. So 3 and 1, no. All right, so no 5. And then I could get a 6. All right. Boy, I feel like I'm missing something, but I guess not. Wait a second. I don't think there's any way to get a +2. I could do a 3. Oh, yeah, a 3. All right, but 5 is not, huh? Okay. So here are all the possible things that I could get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I have 10 different possibilities that I could get. All right. Hopefully I did that right. I feel like I'm missing something, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think these are all. That's weird. I couldn't get a 5 though. All right. So let's see. Next question. So that's my list of possible outcomes you should have on your paper. Which sums do you think will be the most probable? Make a probability table to show all the possible outcomes for the 2 spins. All right. So what do I think is going to be the most probable? Well, let's see. I guess we can count up how many ways I can get these different numbers. So how many ways can I get a -4? I can get it 1. No, I guess just one way. All right. How can I get a -3? 1, 2, 2 ways. How can I get a -2? There's 1, 2, 3, 3 ways. All right. I wonder if there's a pattern going on here. A -1, I can get 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 ways. Oh, look like a pattern. I wonder if 0 is going to be 5 ways. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 3. I wonder if we're going back down. How can I get a +1? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 different ways. And to get a +2, 1, 2, 3. All right. Let's see. A +3 would be 1, 2, and a +4, 1, 2, and then a +6 is just one way. So what do I think is my best chance to get numbers? I guess by looking at this, it would be a -1 and a +1, as long as I did this correctly. So -1, I have 4 of them. 1, 2, wait, negative ones. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Yep. Okay. All right. So for part B, I think I have my best chance to get a -1 and a +1 when I do this. create a probability table showing all the possible outcomes of spins. All right, hold on, because I just want to check my answers, because something seems like it's not quite right. So question 65. Yeah, all right. I guess those are all the possible outcomes. Okay. Let's see. So let's get back to this. So question 65 again. Create a probability table that shows all the possible outcomes for the two spins. All right, so let's go back to this. And let's clear our board. So I want to make the probability table like we did in class yesterday. So here's going to be my probability table. Let's see if I can't make this semi-neat. So I've got this, and I've got this. I'm going to put on the top row what I can do with my first spin. So I could get a 0. I could spin a 1. I could spin a -2. I could spin I should probably spread these out a little more, give myself some room. A +3, and then a -1. All right. Let's see. And then this will be my second spin. So I could do a 0 again. I could do a 1. I could do a -2. I could do a 3. And then I could do a -1. All right. And let's see. Let's get our lines in here. So we can go that way. Oh, that's not very straight. Here, here, and here. And then we'll go across. Hopefully your lines look better than my lines. Oh my gosh, those are getting worse. There and there. Oh, those are beautiful lines. All right. So let's see here. We'll put these in red. So if I get a 0 and a 0, I get 0. If I do a 0 and a 1, I get a 1. A 0 and a -2, that makes that -2. This is a 3, and that gives me a -1. All right, so let's do this one now. That gives me a 1, a 2, a -1, a 4, and a 0. If I do this one, this is a -2, a -1, a 0, a 1, and a -3. Here I could do a 3. I would get a 4 if I add them up. I get a 1. I get a 6, and I get a 2. And last but not least, a -1, a 0, a -3, a +2, and then a -2. All right, so there is my table that shows all my possible results that I could get. Let's see, what else are they asking us to do here? All right, so I did that. So part D. If Tabitha could choose the winning sum for the double spin game, what sum would you advise her to choose? What's the probability of getting that sum with 2 spins? So what would be the number that we would want to pick? If I go back to this, and I think from earlier, let's make sure. So +1, we think it was a +1 and a -1 from our last thing. Well, let's see if that's right. So we're thinking it's a +1 and a -1. So positive ones, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Yeah, all right, so that was right from earlier. And -1s, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Do we have any more 4s of numbers? So zeros. Oh, wait, 0. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. All right, so I must have messed up something on my other thing. So we have 4 zeros. 0, 1, -2, 3. Yeah, 0, 1, -2, 3. All right, so we have 4 zeros, so that would be a good one. Let's see, 6 is definitely not it. What about +2? So there's 1, 2 of those. No. So I think these would be the numbers that I would want to bet on if I want them to come up the most often. Because when we do -2, we have 1, 2, 3 of them. +2s, we have 1. We have 1, 2, 3 of those. All right. What about 3s? We got 1, 2, no, we're going the wrong direction. So I think 1, -1, and 0, we would have our best bet in order to get this. So let's make sure that's a 0. That's a 0. Oh, wait a second. That's not a 0. That's where I messed up. That's what's wrong. -2 and -2 is going to be a -4. So that's where I went wrong. All right. So it is just 1 and -1. So those would be our best ones. Hopefully I didn't mess up on any of my other math stuff. So I'm guessing those would be my best numbers to do.